In this episode, Matt returns to his ancestral home. The content mainly serves to document behind the scenes. Before him is the new Lamborghini. The car has been freshly painted. It has been cleaned thoroughly, and there are no faults to speak of. The brake discs have been replaced with new ones. Moreover, the battery is also brand new. It is almost indistinguishable from a new car. But Matt feels that this car is not of the type he prefers. For this Lamborghini to him, the cost-to-performance ratio simply does not align. Each car has its own purpose. And this car, Matt simply cannot find a use for it. Thus, Matt decides to sell it. Moreover, Matt incurred quite a loss while repairing the car. He feels no attachment to this vehicle, though the car is spotless. It is simply too expensive. Matt originally intended to sell it directly. However, he was reminded by the accountant that the car was purchased with taxes included. Thus, when selling it, it must also include the taxes. This means an additional 20% tax. If it were a business transaction, one could apply for a tax refund. But if the beer is a private individual, that 20% would be directly added to the price. Matt contacted Carl Wan and the dealer who had made the offer. Upon hearing of the added tax, the dealer immediately reduced the quote by 20%. Matt was at a loss as to what to do. Selling it himself is too much of a hassle, especially for such high-value vehicles. Buyers usually request installment plans and warranties. There's also a complete sales process. It's exceedingly troublesome. Matt even tried contacting dealers for consignment sales, though the car has not been deregistered for insurance. The entire internet has witnessed the process of it being crashed. However, the current model is undeniably a premium one. But the dealers are unwilling to take on such a hassle, fearing it might harm their reputation. Had he repaired the car without filming the process, there might not have been this issue. But this is the very essence of documenting one's life, fixing the car while capturing the process. Thus, he decided to reverse his actions. He placed the car up for auction on Kobel. After all, Matt usually finds cars on Kobel. This time, he returned to the starting point to see the true market feedback. Kobel supports global bidding. For example, Cyprus accepts it even with traffic jams. This car is now up for auction. The bidding situation looks promising. By the time this video is released, the auction will likely be nearing its end. Whether it will meet the reserve price, that will be up to the market to decide. But Matt also knows that this time buying the car will certainly lead to a loss. But at least it will close with a satisfactory ending. But today, it's undoubtedly Aston Martin repair day. Matt has a mountain of tasks to handle. First, he begins with this bottle of DD wine. In the last video, the car was able to start normally, but the coolant hasn't been added yet. The gearbox oil has not been replaced either, let alone the test drive. Today is the real test day. Matt originally wanted to work on the DBX as well, but since today's focus is not on him, it's on the DB9. This DBS is the second gift from his father. He's had this car for some time now. His father is so fond of it. He would even want to put someone in the trunk. He loves it deeply, especially due to its historical significance. But today, the engine reported a fault code. The rear axle is making a severe knocking sound. The workshop quoted a repair price of £12,300. Matt, hearing the price, decided to fix it himself. He believes that by doing it himself, he can save quite a bit. Thus, this video becomes a special mission. The £12,300 repair project. We shall see if Matt can save it. First, lift the car, then cool down the DD wine. The knocking sound from the DD wine mainly occurs during acceleration and deceleration. After checking with a crowbar, Matt directly found the problem. The bushing in the lower arm has completely shattered. Both sides are emitting a knocking sound. The workshop recommends replacing both the lower arm and the connecting rod, although the connecting rod appears fine on the surface. They fear it may fail in the future. They suggest replacing everything at once. Thus, the repair quote of £12,300 was presented. First, remove all four wheels. Prepare to start the replacement. In the process, they discovered that the key for the car is actually the same as that of a truck and Volvo. Indeed, Aston Martin has a somewhat understated luxury. Next, remove the bolts. Remove the connecting rod. The red-marked adjustment bolts were also labeled to ensure correct alignment when reinstalling. However, the bushing is ruined, and a four-wheel alignment is needed to restore perfect handling. This step cannot be skipped. The entire process is not just a repair, but also a lesson. Matt, while working, talks big, explaining the logic of chassis adjustment very thoroughly. In the end, the repair progresses smoothly, with costs far below £12,300. He solved the problem that had frightened his father. The Aston Martin V12 remains intact. Matt once again proves that car repairs do not always have to be expensive, but one must understand the profession. And importantly, Matt's repair this time saved £20,000 in service fees. Matt checked and found that the bushing actually looked quite good, but the control arm itself was cracked. This caused the entire structure to shift back and forth. If he had to repair the original part, Matt already has a plan in mind. Remove the bushing and weld the crack, then get Bob's help. Send a little red envelope, more efficient and quicker. Moreover, the lower arm on the other side is also cracked. Quite clearly, this generation of control arms has a design flaw. The Lamborghini Matt posted online is the so-called brand new second-hand version priced at £169,000. Truly a huge loss. Next, a comparison between the new and old parts. The difference is quite apparent. The new version has added reinforced metal in the stress areas. It is speculated that this is a material structure optimization quietly made by the manufacturer. It could be an internal recall, or perhaps the original material was simply too poor. Additionally, two lower arm connecting brackets were also replaced, each costing £40. The total cost was £381, plus labor. This operation saved at least £5,000 on assembly rings. Matt didn't slack off either. All the red-marked positioning bolts were perfectly aligned. The washers on top were placed on the outer side, and those on the bottom on the inner side. He strictly followed Aston Martin's original assembly logic. This is truly high-level engineering work. This is the real work of an advanced engineering mechanic. But without further ado, install the control arm. The positioning is completed. The lower link is fixed. With this set of operations, Aston Martin is back to its peak driving feel. Matt is now working on the rubber bushings of the suspension and loading them. Because if the bushing is tightened in an unloaded state, when the car is lowered, the rubber will be forcibly twisted. This will quickly cause wear and deformation. Therefore, the suspension must be left in a compressed angle for it to be accurate. As Matt tightens the torque, he grumbles. This is what his father paid £20,000 for the boys' team service. Professional operation, worth every penny. But alas, the good times didn't last long. When assembling the other side, a bolt snapped. It broke off completely. No way to repair it. He'll have to wait until tomorrow to buy a new one. This side is complete, but that side is ruined. Matt's face looks like a disaster scene. Laughing, he shouts, "All right then, we'll leave this side for now, since the car is still on the lift." DB12's history is now on hold. First, let's get this DBX sorted out. Speaking of the DBX, in Matt's previous video, he miraculously managed to start it. This car is equipped with an engine, the same as the GLC's engine. It had once been flooded. He referred to the manual he found online and rebuilt the entire engine. It is now running smoothly, but he still hasn't added coolant, nor has he added transmission oil. Today's task is to add the coolant, drain the remaining water inside, and separately cool the turbo system. The exhaust system is bypassed. The transmission is to be tested for integrity. First, the coolant venting. Air is purged through the dedicated vent screw, carefully performed to avoid airlocks. This procedure may not be in the Aston Martin official repair manual, but for Matt, the Matt repair manual handles it just fine. The cooling system is connected, with blue coolant poured into the reservoir. The vent screw is loosened until liquid starts emerging, releasing air bubbles, like reverse vacuum infusion. Although it looks like giving the car an infusion, it works fine. There's a small discrepancy during the process. The coolant is red, but from the angle it looks green. The final step: blow the liquid into the reservoir. Once the vent screw starts spraying liquid, it means the system has completed venting. It's now ready for the heat-up test. Matt explains, this system keeps hot water in the engine, ensuring that when you enter the car, warm air is immediately available. The second time starting the vehicle, everything goes smoothly. The next step is testing the transmission. When starting the engine, there's a slight wavering sound. Matt suspects it's due to the oil not fully circulating. It sounds like the chain isn't running smoothly. Then the temperature begins to rise. I hope the water pump hath not rebelled. May the cooling system endure. Yet soon he discovered the trouble. The cooling system hath inhaled air. An air explosion hath occurred, and the warm air matrix hath no heated water circulating. The fan doth blow fiercely, yet no warmth. He hath found a solitary water pump, but its sound was most unnatural. Forsooth, there was no coolant within. 'Twas merely air running amok. The pump did emit an eerie hum, for there was naught but air inside. Thus Matt devised a clever stratagem. He didst remove the hose and poured water into the pump. This impromptu method may not be professional, but lo, it hath worked. The water didst enter. The fan didst quiet at once. The noise hath ceased. The temperature hath stabilized. The cooling system hath been restored successfully. Matt marveled at his own prowess, for this repair was not in any manual. Yet he did it. Warm air hath returned. The pump hath quieted. The cooling hath become unremarkable. Next, the gearbox requireth attention. Before adjustment, the gearbox was stuck in neutral. It seemeth the locking screw at the base hath been tightened by another, to ease movement. Now, the vehicle must be moved and the screw removed, and new oil applied. To see if the gears can engage, Matt plans to operate on the incline, yet hesitates slightly. Perhaps adding oil and driving would be safer. The gearbox is of the same model as the Mercedes C63. He hath repaired it before. The key point is its oil system is upward suction. Within lies a pipe that draws oil. The oil must rise to the top of this pipe. Then a drop of oil falls each second. This rhythm showeth the oil level is just right. Not too much, not too little. This flow indicateth the proper level, neither excessive nor lacking. Matt attempts to loosen the oil port. Upon seeing that naught did flow, he realized the oil added before was insufficient. Thus, he proceeded to refill the gearbox oil to its rightful level. The next steps were simple. Engage the gears, raise the temperature, and run it back and forth. Observe if the oil level stabilizes, and see if the gearbox responds. At last, when oil dripped from the pipe, he knew the path was clear. The oil flowed smoothly. Shifting gears was now a delight. and we are prepared. On the green line we stand. When I say go, go! Lights out and away we go. The assembly is once more underway. The first round, the first lap. The Porsche is overtaken on the second lap. The Porsche crosses the line. Now, returning, the Aston is closing in. The third lap completes. Can the astronomical casual? For blood completes, or shall Fongelana return home? The astronaut. Mother! Hey ha ha ha! Ah, the gearbox oil hath been replenished. The oil tank is full, the chassis steady and secure. 'Tis time to mount the bumpers. The wheels are mounted, but just as they were set. Another problem arose. Though the car's exterior remaineth unmod, the hockey separator hath broken. When the car was sent for painting, it was dismantled into pieces. Matt planneth to assemble it fully later. When the wheels were mounted, the car looketh fine. Yet on the internet, some claim it resembles a Ford Focus, no less, as the headlights too are split. Everyone overtakes each other. Hard to explain. All screws are tightened. The frame just finished, yet the instrument lights glow again, signaling suspension failure and a 48-volt system fault. Matt deduceth the air suspension sensor plug may not be properly seated. Upon inspection, indeed, it was just the plug not fully connected. Once reconnected, the suspension rose, but the car stance was completely askew. High in the front, low in the rear. It was as though the car did not know who it was or where it belonged. Matt declared, "This doth require the official procedures from Aston to calibrate the suspension, but at present he hath no such equipment in hand." Thus, he manually checked if the sensors had come loose. And indeed, he discovered a link arm was detached, and the 48-volt system malfunctioning mayhap hath affected the logic of the active anti-roll bar. This vehicle doth not rely solely on springs. The entire air system can adjust hardness, adjust height, yet one misstep doth cause disorder. Then Matt endeavoreth to clear the fault codes, yet could only scan as if it were an AMG GT. The scan doth yield but a generic fault, with little value to reference. The front axle doth continue to rise and fall wildly. This hath caused Matt's scalp to tingle. Thus, Matt decideth to attempt the first startup for a test drive. But once inside the car, his coat was instantly ruined. The seat, others were aghast. After starting, the instrument lights still flashed. The 12-volt battery neareth its end. He tried to shut it off, then restart, yet the system gave no response. The height remained uneven. The light still flashed madly. This Aston Martin DBX. At last it moved, but it hath truly given Matt a deep understanding of what it means to run. Indeed it doth run, but all through sheer force. And Matt hath also discovered the front camera hath not been connected. This mayhap the source of the suspension failure. Once connected, the instrument flickered, yet the fault persisted. Can the camera work? It shows the wiring is not broken, but greater troubles lie ahead. The 48-volt battery is spent. This system, it controls the air suspension and active anti-roll mechanisms. Should the voltage falter, the vehicle's stance system shall be in disarray. Though the car still starts, the battery doth near expire with each attempt. Matt hath decided to replace the battery on the morrow. Now, the countdown for the Lamborghini auction hath but 2 minutes left. The price doth remain at £173,000. Matt doth shake his head. He had sold this very car for £223,000, a full £50,000 less than the current bid. Even the Lamborghini beside it, with damage, had soared to £176,000. Matt looketh at Cooper. The platform's greatest flaw, he muses, is its inability to offer loans. Only full payment is accepted. This hath deterred most buyers. And at Car One, someone hath already bid over £300,000. That, he thought, was the right way to bid. Matt spoke plainly in the end. For such an expensive car, who would pay in full? One must choose the right platform and accept one truth. This car may not make thee wealthier, but it shall surely teach thee lessons. But in the end, the auction price was settled at £175,000, plus the handling fee. It was £50,000 less than Matt's purchase, a total loss of £50,000. Such a loss doth make one ponder, was selling it truly wise? Matt had already received a higher offer from Car One. Their bid was far higher. The only reason he had not accepted was because the price included VAT. But when calculated, Car One's offer was still more tempting. After all, 'twas Matt himself who had rebuilt this car. The cooling system, the bid was especially fair. The cost control was meticulous. Just like the previous car, purchased for £162,000, repaired for under $10,000. It eventually received over 200 bids. Rental companies and collectors all came rushing in. Then it came to this rebellion. Matt thought to himself, truly, 'tis like lifting a stone and striking one's own foot. The series had been to complete. Dismantled and reassembled, tested, driven for hundreds of miles, the audience had seen it all. Everyone knew its strengths and weaknesses. Thus, though this series of videos hath been completed, the effect hath been maximized. The commercial return may not be as ideal, but Matt would rather speak the truth than to speak lies for the sake of preserving reputation. Perhaps this is the price to pay. At the end of the video, they shall watch the final auction result. This became a lesson that Matt himself had learned. In the future, hybrid cars are best left alone. But thankfully, the screw on the car hath finally been replaced. It was indeed a good car. The chassis was fixed. The suspension was sound. The wheels were mounted. It was steady as an old gentleman. The DB9 was now completed. As for the DBX, it must continue to wait. This video hath now come to an end. For the contents of the video, feel free to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching. We shall meet again next time.